Welcome to Szabo Cast. Here we discuss all things from a working class, trans, anarchist, analytical perspective. Due to the nature of this show, listener discretion is advised. My name is Skylar, my pronouns are she, they, they, and I'm your host. Thank you for joining us today.
I have a very, very special episode for you today because I actually did a little bit of investigative journalism. Now, I don't really consider myself an actual journalist or a legitimate journalist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just some bitch on YouTube and, of course, on Spotify and other platforms. But okay, let me just give you a little bit of context before we get into the meat and potatoes of the topic at hand. So, the hate group called Patriot Front on Saturday, July 6th, 2024, were marching in the streets of downtown Nashville, Tennessee. And you gotta keep in mind, this is obviously not their first rodeo. They've been doing this in other parts of the country, including Boston, Massachusetts, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They've been doing this for a while, and during their downtime, they had somebody by the name of Jason Nye, or Jason NY, produce something called Queer Quirk, which was supposed to be fake estrogen pills peddled toward trans kids who didn't have access to actually prescribed gender-affirming care. Long story short, this product had ashwagandha in it, which is, if you don't know, detrimental for anybody who is trying to go through feminine gender-affirming care. It's just American fascist groups peddling drugs towards trans kids, and I already made a video on the topic a year ago if you want to go check that out on my channel. It's called Queer Quirk is a PSYOP if you want to go search for the video on my channel. It's still up and everything. I've never taken it down or anything like that. But yeah, back on topic, he's actually in Patriot Front, and this video / podcast episode is all about Patriot Front. More specifically, their unofficial partnership with U-Haul. Now, just so I don't get a lawsuit on my channel for saying slander about the U-Haul company, I say it is unofficial because there is no official ties between U-Haul and Patriot Front. I don't want to spread misinformation or start some kind of conspiracy theory. I don't believe that U-Haul is conspiring with the hate group that is Patriot Front. I don't believe that. But I do believe as a corporation, they do have a responsibility to uphold on their own policies that actually the Patriot Front hate group is violating. Let me explain. If you've ever used any of U-Haul's services before, you know that they lease out trucks and vehicles in order to help you move furniture from one house to another. Or if you got like a business, you can move your equipment from one building to another. This is not new riveting information. This is obviously what U-Haul is supposed to do. That is their business. They are a moving company. I believe they also do storage, but I don't know much about that personally. I've only seen them doing mostly moving and transporting stuff from one place to another. But they do have a policy specifically against storing human beings, human live beings, in their trucks. And what I mean is the storage area in the back of their trucks where the furniture would go. This is not including the front seat where you got your driver's seat and your passenger seat and maybe a capacity for like 3 or 4 people at most. So what this has to do with Patriot Front is that Patriot Front has repeatedly, on more than one occasion, violated this specific code of conduct. So I gave him a call. I rang them up. I talked to U-Haul specifically, and I tried to get to the right channels as best as I could. And I didn't really think I would get pretty far, but yeah, the reason why I'm making a podcast episode about this is because I kind of did get pretty far, and I learned a few things. Now, before I show you what I did, there's a few things I want to say. First of all, the recording that I did throughout this calling adventure is a bit rough. It was very hot that day. I had the fan on. The AC in my house literally stopped working, and I didn't really use my better microphone, so the recording is a bit rough, so I do apologize for that, but I do feel like I got a pretty good recording of what happened during my phone call. And also, this phone call took place in the middle of the week following the incident that took place on July 6th. And I am producing this specific episode right now on July 18th, so it's been a while since even the call took place. The other thing I want to say is that I really did not approach this thinking I was going to win any arguments by just saying that Patriot Front is a hate group that is a threat to the community. That's not something that a corporation is really going to listen to. Now, I want to also be clear, this is not saying that the workers that work at U-Haul customer service are inhumane or they lack any human sympathy or understanding of the severity that is a hate group that is the Patriot Front using their products, but simply saying that it's a hate group that is using their products for evil, it's not really going to warrant much of a response because that's not really in their conduct. Their conduct doesn't really explicitly say anything about hate groups using their products and services. This is why very specifically I went after their policy on storing human bodies in the trunk of their vehicles. Because if you look at the actual videos of Patriot Front unloading these U-Haul vehicles, I mean, they pack them like sardines in a can. It's wild. Or a much more appropriate comparison, it would be like clowns in a clown car, actually, because there really were that many. So, okay, I gave them a call, and the first thing I did was confirm that that was in fact their code. Let's take a listen.
Thanks for calling U-Haul. My name is Rich. This is can I help you?
I'd like to remain anonymous throughout this call. I'm here to file a complaint, however. I do want to ask before I make this complaint for your policy on holding individuals in the back compartment of your trucks. Like, can you tell me about that?
Like, what do you mean holding individuals in the back of the truck?
Let's say hypothetically, I've got my family and my friends and we all want to go fishing by the lake. I want to get them all there, but I don't have the space in my car to do it. I want to rent a U-Haul so that way I can go do that. Is that allowed? And can you tell me about the policy with that, please?
Sure. So you are not allowed to transport live animals or humans or plants in the back of the moving trucks. If you'll go to uhaul.com, it'll show you how many adults are able to fit in each of the U-Haul trucks. So it just depends on what size truck that you rented, but none of our U-Haul rentals hold more than 3 adults. So you can only fit them in the front seats. So that's our policy as far as I know. Like the pickup truck and then the 15-foot truck and above, they hold 3 adults. And then the cargo van and the 10-foot truck only holds 2 adults. And you cannot move live persons, animals, or plants in the back of those trucks.
So there is no mistake. That's not allowed, like, at all. That's against their policy. You can't transport humans, animals, or plants, which I learned in that phone call. I don't know exactly why not plants, but I digress. It's not important. What is important, however, is the fact that now we have set a precedent for Patriot Front that they're not allowed to be doing this, and thus we need an answer from U-Haul. Why are they doing it anyway? This is not the only time in Nashville, Tennessee on July 6, 2024 that they have done this. They've done this several times in the past within the last couple of years. So why is this happening? And what precautions is U-Haul, the company, doing to hopefully maybe take a preventative measure against this behavior? So I went ahead and asked this very helpful lady this question.
Trying to figure out how to get this reported upward. I'm just trying to to where you're not, wasting your efforts here, trying to make sure that it does get appropriated. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me place you on a brief hold real quick, and let me reach out to a manager on duty and figure out how we can get this message sent up to the correct management.
So this is what I meant by I was not blaming any of the workers who worked the customer service of U-Haul, because this right here was the first response that I got from even mentioning it, and it was like, wow, this person actually gives a shit about the very thing that I'm saying. So their customer service, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but that was pretty damn cool. So I was put on hold for a little bit, and she eventually got back to me. And after she spoke with her manager on site, she said this to me.
So what we're going to do at this point, we do have the other option. If you would like to, I can provide you with the number to the NCO of that area. But since you want to remain anonymous, what I can do is send an email up to them. Now, what I do need to kind of narrow down the area a little bit. Can you give me a zip code of one of the main areas where this is happening?
Now, I was a little stumped here because no, I did not know what the zip code was for this specific area. I knew that it was happening in Tennessee. It looked like a downtown area. I honestly have never been to Tennessee except for a layover when I was stopping in Nashville, coming home from my family in Ohio for Christmas when I was like 11 years old. So I'm not at all familiar with Nashville, Tennessee whatsoever, which meant that I couldn't really help in this aspect, which kind of scared me a little bit because I actually really was impressed with the fact that she was putting 100% into this. And I was just so worried that all of my efforts here were going to go to waste, and it was going to be my own fault because I wasn't prepared with a zip code. So I did go online and I did type in like downtown Tennessee zip code, and I provided like one or two just to hopefully cover my bases. Also, if you don't know what an MCO is, because I didn't know either, it's the marketing company office, because that's what they've got for like public relations when it comes to how they market their products. I was just gonna say that like the two other instances like in Boston and Coeur d'Alene, like those were like 2 years ago. Law enforcement did get involved with that already, although the only reason why I'm telling you is because, like I said, U-Haul is involved in doing business with them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the most recent one is in Nashville. Now, I, at the time, had video footage, not my own video footage, but just video footage that's been circulated on the internet of Patriot Front doing this. And of course, like I said, it's not the first time they've done this, but since I had actual video footage of this happening, I offered to hopefully email this to them, and hopefully they can use it to evaluate and maybe do their own internal investigation. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out because eventually what would happen was I would get the phone number to the MCO of U-Haul in Nashville, Tennessee. And the person who I spoke to did say that she was going to send them an email.
Thank you so much for being concerned enough to call this in. Stay safe out there, and just keep your head up, all right?
Absolutely, thank you. Oh my god, what a sweetheart. Oh my gosh. So, it's not like I'm the only one who would be informing the MCO, but ironically, the MCO was the least helpful in all of my ventures here. Take a listen to how that went.
This is
Hi, I'd like to remain anonymous throughout this phone call. I'm calling because I called a representative, a customer service representative earlier, and I was filing a complaint about an incident that happened this Saturday in Nashville, Tennessee, where a hate group by the name of Patriot Front were marching in the streets, and they were using U-Haul vehicles to transport themselves to like the marches, and they were packing people in the back like sardines in a can, basically. So I'm calling to report this, not only because it is, and I checked that it is a violation of like your safety code, but it is also a threat to our community, like as a whole. Specifically Nashville, which has been seeing like a rise of a lot of like fascist neo-Nazi groups. So this is why I'm bringing this to your attention. This has also been seen in Coeur d'Alene and in Boston in the last couple of years as well. So I'm calling also because I want to offer video evidence that I have. I would like to forward this video evidence to you. I'd like to be able to inquire if there's an email that you can provide for this.
We've seen it on the news already. Unfortunately, we don't have a truck number, so we can't tie anything to anyone.
So you can't. Well, okay. Here's the thing, though. I mean, I understand you can't cite anything or you can't restrict anything. But what I wanted to ask is and it's good that you're aware of this already. The thing is that is there a preventative measure? Because this is clearly against your code, and this is a repeated behavior. So I'm just wondering if there's like a way that you can bring this up to higher ups and talk to whoever is in charge of maintaining these safety codes, if they can do a check or something, like check people before leasing these out for this type of use, because it's a threat to the community and it's also a violation of your code. So you have any way of doing that?
Unfortunately, it's like any rental company, enterprise. All we need is a valid driver's license and a form of payment. We don't do background checks or anything on people.
I guess what you're trying to tell me here is that you have your method of being able to do this, but it doesn't check for whether or not the person who you're leasing your vehicle out to is going to violate your safety code. Is that correct?
We take everything into account with meaningful assurance and everything with everybody that rents from us.
I understand this, but it's just like there's no way to do a preventative measure at all, like to maybe like instate a new policy or something to check in with this, because it's a repeated behavior. It happened in Nashville this weekend, and it happened in Boston and Coeur d'Alene, like throughout the past couple of years. So I'm just wondering, if this is a repeated behavior and it's against your code, I mean, if they're can you bring this up to a meeting or something? You know what I'm saying? Wow. Yo, they hung up on me. Wow. Well, there you go. That's fascinating. I guess U-Haul is complicit. That's a good way to summarize it. And you want to know something? In that moment, I thought that the story was over. That I did, in fact, hit some kind of dead end. And I mean, at the end of the day, I absolutely did hit a dead end. But the story is not over. There is another part of this story that I do want to share with you that I thought was kind of interesting. It was almost like fate in a way, because prior to me making this phone call, I had actually made another phone call to the same customer service hotline. And U-Haul has this service, automated service, where if you call and you've got a long line ahead of you, you can put your phone number in the queue and they'll call you back. I like this feature because that means I don't have to sit on the phone for a super duper long time waiting for a customer service representative. They'll contact you. And I just really thought this was really cool because it reduced a lot of my anxiety. But even with doing the service, I did get impatient and I called them back, and I did get a customer service representative a lot quicker, and that was all of what you just heard. But my queue actually did call me back after all of what you just heard, and I want to kind of just share what that was like, how that conversation went down. Hello?
Hi, this is your callback from U-Haul. To speak with an agent, press 1. To cancel, press 2. Now connecting.
This is customer service. How can I help?
Hi. So this is interesting because I did make this callback request, but then I called again and I got a hold of some people, and you're calling back, and it's interesting because I still do need help actually, so I appreciate you calling back. I initially called because I wanted to inform U-Haul that this Saturday there was Patriot Front marching in Nashville, Tennessee, and they were using U-Haul trucks, specifically the ones with the luggage in the back, and they were packing these marchers like in abundance, in fact, like sardine cups in the back. And I did check with one of your previous callers, or not your previous caller, but one of your previous representatives, and they told me that like 3 people can fit in the front, you know. So I wanted to make sure that this was against your code, your safety code. And she was very nice, and she connected me to some higher ups. And as I tried to inquire about with the higher ups, and I even offered evidence, and the person before that person sent an email. They were very nice. The person that was higher up was just very rude and short and saying that they can't do anything about it. And I tried to reach out and be like, hey, listen, why, are you able to maybe just bring this up to a future meeting? Can you maybe talk about doing further background checks? Is there can you do anything? Because this is a repeated behavior, not just in Nashville, Tennessee, but throughout the last couple of years. This has been happening in Boston and Coeur d'Alene. So I understand now I'm kind of back at the bottom here, and it's unprecedented that you called back, and I appreciate that you did. I'm kind of just shocked that that's the response I got from your higher ups. There anything you can help with at all by chance?
It would only have to go up the same chain that you returned to in order for them to review. If management has already provided queries, you can absolutely have them re-review it, but there would be an additional avenue to take. If you spoke to, I'm assuming you probably talked to, there's only 2 folks that you could have, I'm thinking, talked to with them. The general manager doesn't seem like the perfect fit, so I'm thinking you maybe talk to the marketing company president. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's the latter.
Yeah, just no one higher in the system, unfortunately.
Wow, so I really did just talk to the top dog, didn't I? Other than general manager.
Yeah, in terms of the 2, general manager would be, that's what I was thinking at first, because you said it's a U-Haul truck and it's misuse. But then we need to know the specific customer, when it happened, that would kind of be general manager. That's what I was thinking first. But then you said it's happened in a bunch, and I was over a given area, so that's marketing company president.
So, yeah, he kind of did just repeat a lot of what I've already heard, that I need a specific license plate number, and that they can't really do background checks because, in his words, that it would be considered discrimination, which is kind of fucking wild to me, considering that we're talking about a hate group that wants to make discrimination legal for multiple marginalized people groups. In hindsight, I was really thinking about how I really should have mentioned that, how I should have pushed for that. Said, hey, this is a group that actually wants to enact discrimination against us. But at the same time, again, this is not really the kind of appeal that a corporation is really going to be listening to. But I really want to point something out before I end this episode, and that is, there really is a human side to the workers as opposed to the MCO that I spoke to. I want you to listen to this next bit from this same exact worker and what he said to me in this conversation. Take a listen.
I'm happy to try to assist. If there was a way for me to help you out with the 2 things that we need, again, if you're trying to address it, would be the individual and then the truck itself. So if you could get and again, do not put yourself in danger, please. I don't want that on my conscience. But if you could get the individual and then the license plate information and the misuse, then you could have a case then about giving it to the general manager for them to put them on a notice of basically misuse. So whether they're finding them or doing etc. for that, they could do something like that in terms of trying to address it.
Okay, so the way to combat this with U-Haul specifically is the individual in question and the truck in question and the misuse. The only evidence I've seen is video evidence, and I know that the marketing manager's seen this on the news. But I will keep that in mind as well when trying to report this in the future. And yes, I will take every precaution to make sure that I am safe. I appreciate your concern. Thank you.
Oh, no, human life is important. I don't want you going out there to fight something happen to you.
Absolutely. So yeah, I did censor the names of the workers of U-Haul just because their privacy deserves to be respected, but they're not the villains here. They're just trying to make ends meet, and U-Haul just happens to be their place of employment. It's not like they're cops, where cops' role are to uphold the function of the state through a monopoly on violence. It's not the same thing. And they really did try their best, because at the end of the day, yeah, they really did try. Unlike the MCO, who seemingly didn't really give a fuck. Like, let's be real here. I don't think she cared. Okay, let's summarize. I don't think I accomplished my mission by pushing the higher-ups to maybe talk about enacting some kind of more effective preventative policy in hopefully stopping the Patriot Front from renting out their U-Haul vehicles. But I do think that I got some workers agitated, educated, and hopefully maybe willing to organize some kind of resistance against their higher-ups from leasing out these vehicles to the Patriot Front. And I think that this is also at a really good time when labor organizing is at an all-time high within the recent last couple of decades. For example, there is an organization called No Tech for Apartheid, which consists of Google and Amazon workers striking against, Google and Amazon for doing business with the Israeli government that is doing an ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign and genocide of Palestinians in both Gaza and the West Bank. These are Amazon and Google workers who are putting their lives on the line and risking their livelihoods so that they can have more of a leverage in how the company that they work for does business. And I truly commend their efforts, and I really want to put a really big magnifying glass on this organization. They have a website as well that you should go check out, www.notechforapartheid.com. I'll put a link in the description for that as well if you're interested. And they're not the only group of Amazon workers striking against Amazon. Need I mention the legend Chris Smalls? He's been kicking ass for years now, as well as the Staten Island Amazon workers as well. They have been, since the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020, fighting for better working conditions and better safety regulations within their warehouses. This is also not to overshadow railroad workers striking, Starbucks workers striking, Target workers striking, and the growing solidarity of the United Auto Workers Union. Holy shit, y'all. And I do hope that I, in some way, might have agitated a few workers to maybe start questioning the legitimacy of the company in which they are working for. Not to quit the company or anything. They need to make that bag, and I'm not going to shame them for making that bag, but maybe to organize something from within. There's a reason why when I spoke to the MCO that I got a less than sympathetic response. It's not because the MCO is a piece of shit, although, that's pretty probable at the end of the day, but it's because specifically I'm only one person. Under capitalism, one worker or one person doesn't really have a lot of power to make demands for a corporation to do something differently or enact better working conditions or pass a better fucking policy. No, you need a union. You need multiple workers or multiple representatives, multiple people supporting you in order to really have some kind of negotiation power with your higher-ups. So with that said, I'd like to make a call to action for all of those who are listening right now. Are you frustrated with the fact that Patriot Front are terrorizing your community and using U-Haul trucks in order to carry out their evil fucking deeds? Well, here's one way you can combat that. Call U-Haul and tell their workers what is going on. And I don't just mean one Karen doing a Karen, I want to speak to your manager phone call. I mean like a phone zap. Flood their call centers. Make it so that these workers, when they go to their break rooms, that they are discussing, wow, Patriot Front is receiving our services, And that's fucked up. We gotta do something about it. And I want to really emphasize here, and I seriously want to emphasize here, that when you make this phone call, or the multiple phone calls that you do make, that you are compassionate and polite to the workers. Now, I realize that the 2 workers that I had were really polite to me and were doing everything within their power to help me, and maybe like every other worker is a piece of shit. I don't know. I'm obviously being hypothetical here, because in all actuality, they're obligated to be helpful to you because you're a potential customer who's going to potentially give U-Haul money. But when you speak to them, try to be as polite and compassionate as I was. Try to speak to them like they're people, because they are people at the end of the day. Try not to be accusatory. Try not to be like, hey, why are you helping Patriot Front terrorize our town? Don't you know they're terrorists? I mean, obviously tell them that the Patriot Front are a group of terrorists and that U-Haul is doing business indirectly with terrorist groups. But the workers don't really have that power. You heard that even though they were trying, they can't really do much. And that's the other thing too. They did say that there are methods of being able to stop the Patriot Front from directly doing business with U-Haul, and that is getting their license plate, if you can, especially. If you can safely, and I'm going to stress very safely here, if you see Patriot Front in your town and you see the U-Haul trucks, try to take video and or photos of not just them, that too, but also the license plate. You are most likely not going to get a driver's license, as these fucking goons like to wear masks, even though they accuse Antifa of wearing masks like as if we're a bunch of cowards. Hey, pot calling the kettle black. But taking pictures of the U-Haul truck, especially the license plate, and any other kind of images that you can capture of the U-Haul truck, like the make and model, like any numbers that you see on the truck itself to hopefully identify which specific truck is being used that day. All of this information is important. And of course, taking pictures of Patriot Front members as they're marching, if you can get any information, I mean like their faces, if you like say a mask slips off or something, or if you happen to see them drop their sunglasses and you get their eye color, any kind of information can be helpful in the long term. Because think about it, eye color, that shows up on a driver's license. That is important. That is crucial. And also, if you can learn from my mistake, get the zip code as to where these incidences are taking place. I did not have a zip code, so we were not able to narrow down specifically where these terrorist attacks were taking place. Learn from my mistake. If you call U-Haul, and if you have this kind of information prepared, you're gonna have a better time and you're gonna have better results. You still might not get much sympathy from the MCO, but you will at least have results from the workers who are going to be taking information from you. So that's really all I have for you today. I want to thank you for listening and for learning, as I was also learning as well. And honestly, if you made it this far, you're so fucking awesome, because you do care about fighting against fascism. And I hope that me making podcast episodes helps all of my listeners become better anti-fascists, more effective in their praxis. If you support what I do, you should check out my Patreon and my Ko-Fi. Donate what you can. I would really appreciate it. I'd like to, hopefully buy a new air conditioner because I am sweating bullets right now, actually. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Turbo Queer, where I upload video essays and other kinds of cool stuff, as well as episodes of this podcast. But if you want to listen to the podcast on the go, I am also on Spotify. All of these podcast episodes are uploaded to Spotify under Szabo Cast. That is SZABOCAST, Szabocast. I am very grateful that you listened in today. Thank you so much. I am Skylar Sakura Szabo, and I'm signing out.